Hello and welcome to the Templum Digital Assets Report. I'm blockchain global news anchor Patricia Wu, along with my co-host, co-founder of Templum, Vincent Molinari. We're here high above the famed New York Stock Exchange floor. Let's get started. And we'll begin with our headlines from Washington, D.C., and legislation around this space seems to be heating up, Vince.
It absolutely is, and every week that goes by, there seems to be more and more momentum, and thrilled to talk about it again today.
Absolutely, and we're talking about a couple of bipartisan House bills. The first, H.R. 923. This bill would seek to clarify which virtual currencies qualify as commodities and provide an optional regulatory structure for federal licensing and market supervision. So this could legitimize currencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum, but what could it mean for the many other digital currencies that have popped up?
As always, there's so much here to unbundle, Patricia, and I think starting with, when we look at different regulatory bodies, Department of Treasury looking at cryptos typically as property, CFTC as commodities, the SEC as securities. How does this new regulation look to bring clarity, look to bring perhaps what is a new regulatory regime, a bit modeling after some of the things that are happening in Europe? Is there a separate SRO now? Is there a new agency, or is it a self-regulated organization that's started by market participants? And how do we bring new definition clarity of these new cryptocurrencies? So very exciting bill that's put forth, and anxious to see how it plays out on the floor.
Absolutely, watch this space. So it seems like Congressman Soto, Budd, and Davidson are the blockchain leaders on the Hill. Why are they so interested in this space? Is it because there's huge potential for economic growth?
Yeah, and I would add to that equation, you have Congressman Emmer and Swikert and Foster as well, who are all very engaged in this space. And I think the wonderful part about it is it's bipartisanship. So we're seeing both sides of the aisle to come together, and it's for exactly that. I think it's how do we have job creation? How do we bring more capital into our system for economic prosperity? How do we look at new and innovative technologies to advance job creation and growth so that we can compete globally? So I think that's the uniting factor.
Job creation and bipartisanship, two things we want to hear more of for sure.
Every day.
And the second bill, H.R. 922, would require the Commodity Futures Trading Commission to study how digital assets are manipulated and which currencies are more susceptible to manipulation. That, I would imagine, would be essential to position the U.S. as a leader in this cryptocurrency space.
Yeah, I think it's bringing back the fundamental market integrity. And I'm gonna stream this right into the ETFs. Right, so one of the big resistance points from the SEC in not approving ETFs is the lack of market surveillance of the underlying tradability of those instruments. So I think this study speaks to how do they curtail, how do they monitor market surveillance to have integrity of the trading, lack of market manipulation that will allow other products to be created. So really a meaningful piece of legislation that's on the floor.